If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your real ID at tsa.gov/real ID. That's tsa.gov/real ID, or visit your local DMV. And then you'll be cleared for takeoff.
Welcome, Wapham crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Climb aboard the mothership, secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Thank you so much for tuning in to my podcast and hanging out with me. It's an honor to have you here, and I don't feel so alone with you listening. If you are listening live right now, you may be listening to me at KPNL Radio, which you may find on KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. You may also watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So YouTube and Twitch, those would be past shows until we do get our StreamYard back up and running as far as multiple locations for videos to stream. But yeah, definitely go over to our YouTube, subscribe, like any video that you've watched or listened to, and yeah, share with your friends. Sharing is caring. So if you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, you can listen to me at Spreaker.com or wherever you tune in and wherever else you may be listening out there beyond the Omniverse, tonight or any other time. Alrighty. So, sorry for the late start. Our new start time was 7:30, and for some apparent reason, shortly before kickoff, I was getting rid of tabs on my page that I didn't need, and of course I hit the wrong X, so it closed everything out. So I had to hunt down the articles. Some are new and not the ones I wanted. Some I found again. There are a couple. If we have time, I want to go and find those and play them for you guys. But yeah, everything happens for a reason. So perhaps the reason for this is a lot of that stuff was negative and we needed to be on a more positive note. All right, so for our first news out there in the world, all right, we got Mr. Trump. You know who that is. And it says Trump defends the high price tag for his military parade. Peanuts compared to the value, he says. Um, but yeah, there's a little clip here that's 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. Let me go ahead and pop that up there. Yeah, I gotta make it smaller for a second so you guys can see it too. Oh, wrong one.
Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/realid or visit your local DMV.
Sorry about that. All right. Of course, it would help if the speaker was unmuted for this video. And I'm not hearing it. Let's go ahead and refresh this. And a couple things I didn't update on my stuff last night after the show because I didn't want to deal with technical issues before the show. So maybe it's because I have the screen muted. Before it was an issue because it would echo. But let's see if this works. We are now troubleshooting. Damn it, Joe. What the heck? Sorry, Spreaker peeps. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Okay, so this is disappointing. Like I said, when I do updates, a lot of times there's sound issues, which there is a sound issue right now for my Spreaker peeps. They can hear me, they couldn't hear the video for some apparent reason. Wow, that's just interesting. Maybe this one? We'll don't know. We'll try it. We'll try it and see. But yeah, it was just Trump talking about what he thinks about the economy and whose fault it is, etc., etc. So President Donald Trump told NBC News he plans to hold several events to celebrate U.S. military victories this year, including a big, beautiful military parade in Washington, D.C. to commemorate Flag Day, which also happens to fall on his birthday. My birthday happens to be on Flag Day, Trump told NBC News. Meet the press moderator Kristen Welker in a wide-ranging interview at Mar-a-Lago that aired on Sunday. I view it for Flag Day, not necessarily my birthday. Somebody put it together, but no, I think we're going to do something on June 14th, maybe, or somewhere around there, but I think that June 14th is a very important day. The parade won't be cheap. Defense officials told NBC News that the estimated cost could be as high as $45 million, with individual Army units ultimately bearing the cost of the parade, which could potentially impact funds used for training. Which, that's ridiculous. That should not be coming out of military funds. If that's what he wants to do, that's his decision, or whoever made the decision, that part of the government needs to pay for it. The government has taken, as far as the military, has taken so many cuts and been on the back burner for so long, it's pretty ridiculous. They can't afford this dumb parade. Well, yeah. $45 million. This is freaking crazy. Trump said it would be worth it. That's compared to the value of doing it, Trump said of the cost. We have the greatest missiles in the world. We have the greatest submarines in the world. We have the greatest army tanks in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world, and we're going to celebrate it. The event, which will also mark the Army's 250th birthday, is expected to include 6,600 soldiers. An Army spokesman said. Defense officials familiar with the planning said it is also expected to feature more than 50 aircraft and 150 military vehicles, which could include wheeled vehicles such as Humvees and trucks and so-called tracked vehicles like tanks. This is starting to remind me of Kim Jong-un and his parades where he shows all his weapons and his missiles and stuff like that. So Trump said he was inspired after speaking with French President Emmanuel Macron about Victory Day celebrations in Europe commemorating the end of World War II. He said he was considering celebrations on separate days to commemorate the end of the two world wars. Recounting a past conversation with France President Emmanuel Macron, Trump recalled saying, We had more to do with winning World War II than any other nation. Why don't we have a victory day? So we're going to have a victory day for World War I and for World War II. You know, if you look at Russia, they celebrate Victory Day, he had previously noted. I think you can have 2 days, Trump said. This doesn't mean you're going to go and not work and have a national holiday and all of that, because we don't have many of those days left. You know, eventually our country will become all national holidays. When Welker pressed for more details on these celebrations, Trump pivoted back to talking about Flag Day and didn't get into specifics. The U.S. officially claims November 11th, 1918 to be the day an armistice agreement was signed with Germany as the end of World War I. September 2nd, 1945, when the U.S. accepted Japan's surrender, is the date recorded as the end of World War II. So Trump also revealed his plans to remodel the White House, starting by replacing grass in the Rose Garden with a beautiful stone surface. We had the Prime Minister of India here, and they had a lot of press, and the women were walking out with their shoes full of mud. So we can't have that, Trump said. The renovations will also include an effort to build a ballroom in the east wing of the White House using existing meeting rooms. It would be used in part to host world leaders. When they have a party for, like, when the head of China comes in, or the head of anybody, you know, head of anything, Trump said, they have a party where they have a tent 200 yards away, where people have to walk in the rain to get to a tent, and that's not for us. That's not for the United States of America. Trump noted that he built a ballroom at his Mar-a-Lago property and said his background as a real estate developer makes him uniquely equipped to carry out the White House renovation. I'm sure it does. Oh my goodness. He told Welker he plans to fund the effort himself. Yeah, I'm not going to ask the government for money. I'll fund it, and I'm sure we'll have some donations to it, but that's not an inexpensive thing. It'll cost a lot of money, Trump said, adding that it will be something really beautiful, top of the line. You know, the greatest. I gotta have the greatest. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know about this parade here. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Alright, I want to go back over here really quick and see. Hopefully this next video will play, because I did change something on, so your browser has lost connection to your screen share audio. Try sharing your screen again, restart your browser if this continues to be a problem. Thanks, StreamYard. I'm just going to remove it. Can I stop screen? Yes. Okay, I'm going to try to re-share it. Alright, what am I going to do next? Well, this one seems pretty cool indeed. Let's go ahead and share that one. And let's see if that is sharing. Yes, I see it. I see it now. Okay, do the video first and we'll go from there. This video is 29 minutes long. It's on YouTube. Turn it up a smidge. Start to play it. If it doesn't play for StreamYard, I'm going to have to say we're not going to play it. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Awesome. Looks like it's working.
Okay, I want to thank Jeff Berwick for inviting me here. And I want to show you our history, but much more important, what we term forbidden archaeology. This is information and evidence that standard academics refuse to look at. And that's why it's important not to discuss things with academics, but to give it to you, the world, and have you decide. So, for example, this is Machu Picchu in Peru. And if you look at this picture, Machu Picchu was abandoned in 1535 by the Inca, and it was never restored. They left it intact. So when you look at this picture, you can see that the work on top is very crude, and the work below is megalithic. So that's a big difference in terms of construction. How could this be the work of one set of builders? Also, you notice the gaps in the large stones below. I was there with a geologist, and she said that would be the result of an earthquake of 9 to 9.5. So if this earthquake had happened during Inca times, then clearly the stones on the top would have fallen down. So what I'm going to be discussing is an ancient series of cataclysmic events that happened, destroying very advanced civilizations, and then the collapse of humanity. And it took 6,000 years before humanity could group back together again and create the civilizations we understand, such as Sumeria, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. And again, the important work being done now is being done by independent researchers, not by academics. So here we have Stonehenge. And thanks to the work of many researchers, such as Maria Wheatley, who's here, she studied Stonehenge for 35 years. And the standard radiocarbon dating of Stonehenge is 4,500 years. But independent testing, multiple times, show that Stonehenge is 12,000 years old. And originally, it was a perfect pair of two circles. The outer stones were brought from a quarry 25 miles away, and the inner stones from 160 miles away. Then nearby, we have Avebury, where there are stones as large as 100 tons, and they were moved from a quarry 3 miles away. So, looking more at this cataclysm, of course, we all know of the flood from the Bible, but there are more than 400 indigenous cultures that talk about a series of cataclysmic events that destroyed their world, whether that was an island or a continent or whatever, very much in the distant past. And thanks to scientific evidence, we're able to see that there was a series of cataclysmic events that happened likely from things that came from outside of our solar system, came into our solar system, and wreaked havoc. And also thanks to recent advances in technology, this, of course, is the mythical city of Atlantis. But thanks to modern mapping and things like that, a lot of attention is being focused on this, which is called the Rechat structure in Mauritania. And some academics think it's a collapsed volcano, which is unlikely. Others think it's an impact from a meteor, which is unlikely. And actually, Josh, who was just up here, is going to be going and exploring this place in person.
It would be awesome. I want to go.
So you can see it's a series of rings with ridges, and that's exactly the way that Atlantis is described. Mm-hmm. It's been measured at 23 kilometers in diameter, which is supposedly the diameter of Atlantis. There's still a little bit of water left there. And it's located in Mauritania, and what Plato says is that it was beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is where Gibraltar is. And Gibraltar is just to the northeast of here. So that's just an interesting kind of development from recent times. But in October, they discovered an impact crater in Greenland where an asteroid a mile long struck the surface about 12,000 years ago. And this is the size of the impact crater that was created. It was made of nickel iron, and it hit with a force of 47 million Hiroshima bombs. So that possibly could have destabilized the planet, and that's what I'm going to be getting into. The big question is, why is our planet at 23.5 degrees? Why is it like this? In a perfect solar system, all the planets should be vertical. So something happened to our planet, probably many times, that altered the axis of the Earth. And this is some of the evidence. We have the megafauna of North America, of which there were 120 species, and they all died off, all millions of them, over the course of less than 1,000 years.
Wow.
So that wasn't simply a climate change. It wasn't the destruction by native people. I think what happened is that this massive destructive event caused the axis of the Earth to shift very rapidly. And that's
Which is
why
supposed to happen again pretty soon.
hundreds of thousands of woolly mammoths have been found in Siberia with fresh buttercups in their mouths. They were eating food one minute, they were flash frozen the next minute.
Wow. Could you
So a
imagine?
number of different theories cover this. Work by Allen and Dallaire, who believed that a number of comets or comet fragments entered our atmosphere and struck the Earth and altered the axis. And they believe this happened about 12,000 years ago. And then following up on this is the work of Barbara Hand Clow. And she believes as well that this happened 12,000 years ago and created an effect on what is left of humanity called catastrophobia. It was so devastating that it caused mental anguish for thousands of years. And she believes that the so-called cave
Great. Great. We got plenty of towers. I don't know what the issue is. Come on, let's go. Sorry, guys. Looks like we're stuck. That was pretty interesting stuff. Let me go back over here and see if I can get back to just the reading part of it, because that was pretty interesting stuff. There it is. And it's stuck in the large form. I don't know what to do with this. Remove. Add to stage. I guess I have to refresh it. I'm not sure. It's not even showing the tab. There it is. Refresh. That's all I know to do. Because, yeah, it wasn't cool. Yeah, we saw that video. Oh, me.
Violette with his forbidden archaeology. This is information and evidence very rapidly. And that's why hundreds of thousands of woolly mammoths have been found in Siberia with fresh buttercups in their mouths. They were eating food one minute, they were flash frozen the next minute. And so a number of different theories cover this. Work by Allen and Dallaire, who believe that a number of comets or comet fragments entered our atmosphere and struck the Earth and altered the axis. And they believe this happened about 12,000 years ago. And then following up on this is the work of Barbara Hahn-Clow. And she believes as well that this happened 12,000 years ago and created an effect on what was left of humanity called catastrophobia. It was so devastating that it caused mental anguish for thousands of years. And she believes that the so-called caveman period is from 12,000 years ago to 6,000 years ago. That because of all of the devastating effects, those that survived had to find refuge somewhere underground. And again, 12,000 years ago. And then the work of Dr. Paul Laviolette with his superwave theory. And with this, he believes that every 13,000 years, the center of our galaxy emits energy that goes across the galactic plane. That includes radiation. So he believes the last event of this sort happened 12,000 years ago and included this energy going straight through our sun and sending pulses of plasma towards our planet, causing the vaporization or rapid melting of much of the North Pole. And then the sea levels rose by 350 to 400 feet very rapidly. That is the ancient flood. And backing this up is the work of Dr. Robert Schoch, who again believes that solar outbursts happened 12,000 years ago that melted the poles very rapidly, rapidly rising the sea level and destabilizing the planet. So not just the asteroid striking, but suddenly you have ice turn to water, and that would cause the Earth to destabilize, and then finally it would find a balance point. And from that, I was able to write my own book, Aftershock, about these devastating events that likely took place over the course of 300 or 400 years. So the people are gone, the written records are gone, and what we're left are stone constructions. So this is in Cusco, Peru. And you can see on the right-hand side, super tight-fitting stonework of great precision. And then on the left-hand side, much cruder work, some stones being put back into place. And then when they ran out of that material, they had to find other stone to put in. And when we look at the first topographical map of the city of Cusco by the Spanish, you can see thin walls and thick walls. So that shows you around 1535 that this map maker was distinguishing between the megalithic structures, which are the thick walls, and the thinner walls, which are the Inca repairs. And you can see none of the megalithic structures are intact, so Cusco was hit by a devastating series of cataclysms. And then also in Cusco, we have these polygonal structures. So what you're looking at is the early megalithic construction on the bottom, and then the Inca repair work above it. And at another location called Sacsayhuaman, which is above Cusco, this megalithic wall, you can see the Inca repair work on top. Some of the stones in this wall weigh 120 tons. And there are no trees, or there were no trees during Inca times that grew straight, so you had nothing to use as rollers. So how would they have moved those stones from the quarry? And during the last phase of the Inca before the Spanish conquest, this is an example of a royal palace of the Inca. So you can see it's made basically up of mud walls. This is Inca period construction. And then when we go to Ollantaytambo in the Sacred Valley of Peru, again, you have these megalithic stones, and then you have Inca repair work on top of it. And back to Machu Picchu, that beautifully curved wall in the background. Notice the two top layers of stone were put back into place crudely. by the Inca. So the Inca found Machu Picchu, and then they rebuilt it. And then notice the crude wall in front. And also at Machu Picchu, a three-sided structure. The right-hand side has sunk down by 2 feet. And again, I was there with a geologist. She said that is a 9 to 9.5 earthquake. If it had hurt or damaged this wall this much, the rest of the city would have been devastated if all of this construction was done during Inca times. And this is a location called Saiwite. You notice that huge megalithic stone has been snapped in 2 pieces as if it was styrofoam. That's not a natural crack. And one of the most curious places on Earth is called Pumapunku. And the stone here was brought from 2 quarries, one 45 miles away and the other 8 miles away. And some of the stones at Pumapunku weigh 131 tons. And there has been some excavation done, but they've only gone down about 2 feet. Again, standard academics. And when you ask them, why don't you dig deeper, they say, because there's nothing there. But independent ground-penetrating radar has found that there are giant chambers underneath Pumapunku that the government doesn't want excavated.
What's going on there?
And as well, the large sun gate that weighs 11 tons. You see the crack in it? It in fact was snapped in 2 pieces. The Tiwanaku culture, famous for being in this location, found it lying face down, broken, raised it back up, and did the etching carving on the surface, because at almost all the megalithic sites you find no artwork whatsoever. It's solely form and function. And yet, of all of what you've seen so far, academics insist that these bronze tools were responsible for all the work.
Right.
So let's move on to Egypt. So here in Egypt, the sarcophagus on the right-hand side is made of granite. You can see it's very crude in construction. And then this is where they make mistakes that I love. So the one on the left, they say is First Dynasty, so it's older. It's made of 1 block of granite stone from 500 miles away. The lid and the box are 1 piece of stone. So somebody had the technology of being able to cut the top off that box, which you did not have that technology in dynastic Egypt. As well, hiding in a dark corner in the Cairo Museum is an unfinished box, and we can see the machine tool marks. Whoever was operating the saws, there were 2 of them, 6 feet in diameter, circular saws, cutting. The top saw started to cut into the box and snapped the lid off.
Wow.
And then as well, we have vases, dishes, and other receptacles made of porphyry, basalt, and diorite, which you can only shape with diamond tools.
Wow.
And so these are examples that they actually have on display. We don't know what fascinating artifacts they're hiding because they're too controversial. But you see, these were clearly made on a lathe, and they're listed as being archaic, which means pre-dynastic. So they're telling us that these were made prior to the invention of the potter's wheel. And if there were 9 of them, that would be curious, but in fact, they found 30 to 40,000 of them in one location. That's a lot of work. And then the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is not a 4-sided structure, it's 12 or 8-sided. And recently, geologists have found out that none of the limestone that make up the Great Pyramid is from the Giza Plateau. It's all from Cairo. So that means that each one of the 2.5 million multi-ton blocks that make up the Great Pyramid had to somehow cross the Nile. And that this was built in 25 years. That means each stone was cut, moved, and set into place every 2 minutes. Also, there's a whole system of of shafts and tunnels. This is out of bounds on the Giza Plateau, but if you pay money to the local guards, you get to see lots of stuff which is off limits.
Wow.
So I've been 4 levels under the Giza Plateau, and I've been told that there are another 10 levels that go down, cut into the bedrock. And we find abundance examples of saw marks, and also what's called the feed rate, which means the speed at which the saw was moving. So we had an engineer, and the engineer said that the saw was penetrating this basalt stone at 3 millimeters per movement.
Which means, is that per second?
The amount of erosion on the neck is much more than the face. And now 200 geologists have told us that the vertical weathering on the Sphinx and the Sphinx enclosure were the result of precipitation. And when you do a climate model, you find out the last time there was heavy precipitation that could do this was 12,000 years ago. And then as well, they try to hide other evidence. So here you have this beautiful wooden walkway, but where the two men are standing on the right-hand side between the paws is a rectangular structure that can actually come out. And so I asked our guide, why is this in that shape and why can't it be removed? He said, because that's the access to the tunnel and shaft system underneath the Sphinx.
Is there a library there?
Then as well, we have this, which is called the Serapeum at Saqqara. It's 2 underground tunnels. And in it we find 25 boxes made of granite, each weighing 100 tons apiece, and the quarry is 500 miles away. And these two, the lid and the box would fit so perfectly together that they would basically make a hermetical seal. So that's obviously very advanced technology. As well, the academics tell us that the hieroglyphics on the surface and the box were made by the same people. But you can clearly see that the dynastic Egyptians found the boxes in place and roughly etched in the hieroglyphics.
Yep. You
And
tell
then now
difference
we're
for
at
sure.
the Osirion, which was purposefully built underground. These granite columns weigh 40 to 60 tons.
That is insane.
And then when we go to Karnak, we can see core drill holes. This one is about that big. And again, the penetration rate of the drill would be about 3 millimeters per revolution, which is beyond 21st century technology. And then going to the Colossi of Memnon. Again, I was there with a geologist, and you would think vandalism was the result of what happened to the front surface, but she said that the front surface had been hit by a temperature of no less than 2,000 degrees Celsius, like a pulse, as in a plasma ejection from the sun. Also, the base of the structure is one piece of stone. It weighs about 300 tons, and the sitting figure is one piece of stone that weighs 720 tons, and the quarry is 400 miles away. As well, in case you didn't know, this is the Valley of the Queens. We were able to travel underground in the Valley of the Queens for about an hour. And the Valley of the Queens and the Valley of the Kings are interconnected. So there's a whole tunnel system that goes underneath. The dynastic Egyptians discovered these shafts and tunnels and used them for funeral purposes. They did not make them because some of the shafts are more than 500 feet long and 15 feet wide and 15 feet high. And then we have the unfinished obelisk, 1,200 tons. How were they planning on getting that out of its pit? And also a place you may have never heard of called Tanis. The way you get to Tanis is you drive through the Nile Delta for 2.5 hours through beautiful lush farmland. And when you get to Tanis, there are 4 plants growing. And when you walk the surface, it's like walking on the moon. It's like pulverized dust. And what we found out is this is another location that was struck by some kind of massive heat force. And it's evidenced by some of the statues that they found. If you see the background there, that's the original level. They had to dig down to find Tanis.
Wow.
So you can see that this sculpture, the right-hand side, has been burnt by heat. And then this one, the toes are melted. This is another example. This is a piece of quartzite. The kind of pinky color is normal, but the discoloration is from a burst of massive heat. And then finally, in Egypt, this has only been open to the public for 2 years. It cost $3,000 to rent it for 2 hours. But the great thing is that Egypt has been one of the most secretive countries in the world in terms of you're not allowed to see this, you're not allowed to see that. They actually decided to open to enter this chamber, which is about 15 feet by 35 feet. Then you go down another ladder, 100 feet underground. And you get to another big chamber that has 2 massive boxes in it. And then finally, you go down to the 3rd level, which is another 60 feet. So you get to go down more than 200 feet under the Giza Plateau. So that's a great thing. The new Minister of Supreme Antiquities is starting to open doors that have been rusted shut, open to the public, which thank God for that.
Yeah.
And this is what you find at the very bottom. This is Yusuf Awiyan standing on a box. We're not sure how they got the box down a series of shafts, but then this pool of mysterious crystal water. As well, when you go to Luxor, you notice that it has this sudden angle. The upper area is the megalithic pre-dynastic. The lower area is dynastic. So between the pre-dynastic and dynastic times, that gives us evidence that the axis of the Earth suddenly shifted. Because all the sites are perfectly aligned to north, south, east, and west. But we find locations in Egypt where instead of east and west, they're off by 23 degrees. That's a shifting of the Earth. And I think all I'll have left with is a little bit more. Oh, well. This is Baalbek in Lebanon. It's called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. That's me and a friend. It weighs 1,200 tons. And all of a sudden, work stopped here. And we find that in many other locations. So it's a 1,200-ton stone still attached to the bedrock. And recently, some independent Russian researchers have been doing excavating just to the left-hand side, and they've uncovered a 1,600-ton stone, which I'll be seeing in April. So standard academia says the Romans built this, but what the Romans did is they built very roughly on top of a megalithic foundation. Here you see the Trilithon, which is 3 1,000-ton stones. And then there are multiple of these 800-ton stones located at the actual site of Baalbek, which is a mile from the quarry.
Come on.
And then again, inside, you see the 800-ton stones with the rough construction by the Romans on top. And I guess all I'll be allowed to do left is Petra. You all know this picture. This is 1% of Petra. Petra is 7 miles long, or 12 kilometers. It took us 8 hours to get from one end to another. And what you see are these massive chambers, like hundreds of them, cut into quartzite stone. So as you walk along, you see chamber after chamber after chamber. There are so many of them, they even turned 2 of them into bathrooms. And then this one, we can see the machining tool marks here at an angle. That's my wife. This is one of 5 chambers where 300,000 cubic feet of material was removed to make it. And when you get to the final end, again, look at the sense of scale of construction. This goes on for 7 miles. And there are sister sites located at what's called Little Petra, and also this is
Sorry, it had me on a totally stupid different tab, and the sound was still going, but the video wasn't, so for my YouTubers, that was not cool. Yeah, did you see the StreamYard thing come up? It's like, nice advertisement, dude. Let's go back just a smidge.
of material was removed to make it. And when you get to the final end, again, look at
Look at
and there are sister sites located at what's called Little Petra, and also this is in Saudi Arabia.
these are just amazing.
And if you didn't know, under the Western Wall in Jerusalem, there's a stone block that weighs 500 to 600 tons, not done by the sons and daughters of Israel, maybe during the Canaanite period. And there's lots of megalithic stuff in Greece and Italy and Japan and Easter Island. And I'm afraid that's all I have time. But I hope you're mildly overwhelmed by what you're able to see. Thank you.
Contact in the Desert. So that was from 2021, Contact in the Desert. That was pretty badass. Brian Forrester. Heck yeah. Thanks, Brian. Very informative, I must say. Alrighty. So let's see what time we have here. Alright, so since we have a short amount of time, let's go ahead and head to our first music break. On this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from the Los Angeles area of California with Consensual Snake Band from Green Bay, Silicon Wave. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Let me take you far away from all this huff and puff. There will be nothing in between.
just get in the van.
When your life is a never-ending train wreck, and you feel like you're drowning in a sea of regret, with a bit of oppression pressing down on your neck, it hurts so bad. When your overwhelming hatred kills your heart's desire, and reality starts looking like a dumpster fire, you start bitching to me, but you're preaching to the choir. You don't need to be so mad. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world goes completely insane, open your heart, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, I'll finger bang my day. That's right. You gotta make the choice to give it all you've got, and make your day long with pleasure, really make it hot. Because your day deserves a lover that pulls out the stops. Come on, it's not so hard. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world blows up in our face, what else could we do but stand up and sing? I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, finger bang my day.
Hey, what are we really doing? We can't live in a world that has this much hate. We have to get honest with ourselves. We have to take stock in what our part is in all of this madness. We have to let go, and we focus on giving love, setting that intention. And each and every single one of us gets up every day with the intention to give love. And we do it. We go out there and we give love every single day. Each one of us gets out there and makes love to our day, giving our day a multiple orgasm. The whole world will be orgasmic for the rest of eternity.
Sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world is fucking insane, we open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Finger bang my day. Finger bang my day. Let's open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah. Finger bang my day. I just got a package, I can't wait to get home. I spent all day tracking the shipment of my phone, all that she was lacking. I ordered custom, I can't wait to get some. Take it to the bedroom, bitches always nagging. Now I got the air, I send the bitches packing, going my way. I have a new attraction, don't care what you say, it's better in every way. Now baby, it's time to play, we're gonna make us a tape and show everyone the way. 'Cause I'm going Silicone magic.
here, cause I'm going.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Fais-moi l'amour.
Je suis amoureux.
Je pense toujours à
Enchanté,
tu es charmant.
ma chérie, mon
Tu es
futur
charmant.
dynastie.
Tu
Ils étaient sur le nipple.
tu es chaud. Fais-moi
It's like living on a super yacht, making love to a robot. It's like owning a football team, but having sex with a robot. It's like winning an Oscar and Emmy or Grammy when you're fucking a robot. It's like saving a family with a newborn from a fire, but you're fucking a robot.
It's been raining all day, so yeah, when I went out there to close up the coops, it was just chilling, really, and cold now. Very cold. Alright, so I have another video that I wanted to share with you, and a story as well. I'll go ahead and pop it up right here. Lots of interesting news out there, especially seems like an age of discovery. Let's go ahead and play this.
When we analyze the Mars images from NASA, we see structures that look very similar to the pyramids we have on Earth. Could it be that the pyramids on Mars are done by the same exact architect as the one on Earth? Basically, are we saying here that maybe they were built by the same exact people, or at least the same in architectural design was laid out throughout this entire solar system? Because when you look at the ancient texts, you find that their pyramids are mentioned throughout the entire solar system, even in other galaxies. So it's really amazing that pyramids would be consistent throughout the entire galaxy. Also, when you look at pyramids, you start to discover that they were used for various different purposes. Some were temples, some were actually used for healing purposes. Someone would walk into the pyramid, and because of the resonant design, it would create a specific type of a hologram that a physician could actually check out a person's body and see whether they were injured or sick. Also, some pyramids were used as power generators, kind of like the Great Pyramid. It appears to be built on top of an aquifer, and that it may have been a power generation source, and also maybe even a multifunctional stone computer, because of very other technological aspects of the Great Pyramid that just can't be explained even today. When you look at Mars, there's a clear five-sided pyramid with a hexagonal structure. And when you analyze it, you see these buttresses in the corners. Now, these spherical buttresses look just like the same beams that give strength to the beams. But what's fascinating, when you look at the five-sided pyramid, the line is slightly off-center. So if you place Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man over that shape, it's actually the shape of a human being rendered out as a pyramid. The head is at the top, the two arms will be at the two top sides, and then the 2 feet will be at the 2 bottom sides. So it's a pyramid designed in the shape of a human being. Richard Hogan talked about that this could be an arcology, meaning it could be a vast civilization inside that pyramid. You can have countless people living inside of an object that size. And if you go just west of that structure, you see another pyramid there that looks amazingly from an aerial view, just like the Great Pyramid at Giza. The likelihood that those objects are just randomly placed and they're just a trick of light and shadows just doesn't make any sense. Experts like Errol Torin concluded that the actual amount of geometric anomalies in the area is much higher than any other area on Mars, which is consistent with the algebra you would get if you were comprising an artificial human settlement surrounded by a desert. And you have all of these anomalies around this face. And the face itself could be a very large structure, maybe even a building. According to some of the ancient texts, it may have been attributed to an ancient Atlantean or Anunnaki named Alalu. Regardless, it's a very strange object, and you even have it where the sun rises in the east and illuminates this structure, meaning it could have been used as some type of place of worship as well. These amazing structures can be found all over our planet. As a matter of fact, these builders even built a pyramid in Antarctica, which is larger than the Great Pyramid at Giza. So these ancient structures are all over our planet. And the amazing thing about them is you can also find sphinxes all over the planet as well, where you see the lion body, the body of a lion in the face of a man. This is prevalent throughout the entire planet. And what's really amazing is when you analyze the alignments, the star alignments, it's aligning with the constellation of Leo. Why is that? Why the constellation of Leo? Well, when you look at the ancient text, you find that there was an order to build this great sphinx, for example, at Giza, to align with the constellation of Leo and put the face of Thoth on it initially, the Atlantean priest king who was the son of Enki. Much later, it was recarved to the son of Marduk, his actual son's face, so the face had changed, which gave it a very small head. What's amazing is the fact that they've aligned with the constellation of Leo because they're trying to give a marker as to the time period of when the Giza Plateau was built and other civilizations on this planet were developed. And when you actually go back one precessional period, you come back to the Ice Age. So we have to go back 2 precessional periods to where we actually end up around 36,000 years ago, when it's the perfect time to build the Giza Plateau. Everything is at peace on Earth, and Thoth the Atlantean, or some may call him an Anunnaki, he actually claims to have built the Great Pyramid in his Emerald Tablets. His exact words are, "I builded the Great Pyramid." And so he's the one who actually became the master architect and then laid out the architectural plans for developing pyramids all over the planet Earth.
Well, that was pretty darn awesome, I must say. Okay, there was another one that went along with that. And there's so many interesting things. I'm like, I want to watch them all, but we don't have time for that. Stargate in Peru, like, holy crap. But before we go there,
when we analyze
this, because we already watched that. I'm just gonna close it because I don't want to open it again. Alright. Let's see, there was another one. That is about a pyramid that is near Japan. Like, that's intense. Alright, so let's get... Oh, shoot. No, I don't want to do that one. Okay. Scroll on down here, and this is a short video, but it's pretty dang awesome. So make sure that you guys can see it over there. Nope, you can't. Alright. Japan's ancient underwater pyramid. Alright, we got an ad going on here. Luckily, it's not loud. I wish I had a YouTube thing.
見つかった時にはね、身の毛がよだつってわかるかな。毛がね、身の毛がよだってもう大変でした。ちょうどもう35、6年前ダイビングポイントを開拓中に偶然にも探したんです。見つかった時にはね、興奮しました。初めて僕が発見して、あ、これは与那国の絶対宝になるからシークレットにしようということで。
Didn't tell anyone when he found it.
新帝楽先生、帝京大学の木村正幸先生が私と合同で調査を始めたんです。
It began researching
先生は荒竹さんと大変なものを発見したね。自
discovered
然にし
something
ろ
puzzling.
人工にしろ
Natural, man-made, both have difficult explanations and merits. For example, what makes me believe it's a man-made is the spiraling staircase.
螺旋状の階段とかね。
Yeah, that's pretty dang intriguing, I must say. Right. So, if you want to watch that part on YouTube, you can. Or just watch the whole thing, I don't know. Yeah, that stuff is pretty dang interesting, I must say, that all these discoveries that people are finding and studying before they let the Smithsonian or Catholic Church or whoever else know. They're getting down and dirty, getting all the details. But hidden beneath the water surrounding Japan's Unaguni Island are the towering ruins of a 10,000-year-old city built by a lost civilization. That is, at least, what many experts think. The jaw-dropping formations consist of a stacked pyramid-like monument, along with structures resembling the remains of a castle, temples, an arch, and a stadium, all of which seem to be connected by roads. The largest structure looks like a complicated monolithic stepped pyramid that rises from a depth of 25 meters, which is 82 feet. Marine biologist Masaki Kimura explained to National Geographic back in 2007. So at the time, Kimura had been mapping strange structures for about a little more than 15 years, and each time he divided and dived down to see them, he became more convinced that they were part of an ancient town. He and others posited that they may have been built by the country's Yeoman people, hunter-gatherers who inhabited the islands as early as 12,000 BC. And that's what the BBC reports. However, not everyone is convinced by this idea of a Japanese Atlantis. So, Robert Schock, a professor at Boston University who has explored the site himself, said he believed the Yonaguni monument, as it's now known, was not man-made at all. Referring to its platforms and terraces, he told National Geographic it's basic geology and classic stratigraphy for sandstones, which tend to break along plains and give you these very straight edges, particularly in an area with lots of faults and tectonic activity. I don't think so, dude. It's now been more than 16 years since the two men spoke to the magazine and 37 years since the monument was discovered. And yet the truth of its origins remains a mystery. A local diver first stumbled across it back in 1986 when he noticed the pyramid's almost perfectly straight steps. Since then, theories have abounded as to where on earth it came from. Some, including Kimura, believe that the towering apparition was once part of the fabled Pacific continent of Mu, which, according to legend, was submerged beneath the waves by a great cataclysm. His justification for such a conclusion is twofold. First, he claims to have identified quarry marks in the stone and to have found rocks that appear to have been sculpted to look like animals. That's pretty cool, like little fetishes, but bigger. One example I have described as an underwater sphinx resembles a Chinese or ancient Okinawan king, he said. Secondly, he pointed out that the region in the Pacific Rim is famous for its intense seismic events. Kimura noted that a tsunami whose waves towered some 40 meters high struck Yonaguni Island and the surrounding area back in 1771. The disaster left more than 12,000 people dead or missing, according to Japanese newspaper. And research conducted at the University of Tokyo suggests that the area is blighted by tsunamis every 150 to 400 years. In other words, a similar event might have drowned out the Yonaguni Monument. Haruoki, an associate professor of seismology at Kobe University, told National Geographic that he supported Kimmery's theory, insisting the structures couldn't have been created by plate tectonics. I've dived there as well and touched the pyramid, he said. What Professor Kimmery says is not exaggerated at all. It's easy to tell that those relics were not caused by earthquakes. Yeah, you guys gotta, see these pictures. It is totally not seismic at all. Nevertheless, Professor Schock, among others, would not be moved by these arguments. The first time I dived to the monument, I knew it was not artificial, he stressed. It's not as regular as many people claim, and the right angles and symmetry don't add up in many places. Similarly, the Boston University professor insisted that holes and markings in the rocks were most probably caused by underwater eddies or marine creatures. Professor Kimmery says he has seen some kind of writing or images, but they are just scratches on a rock that are natural, he said. He interprets them as being man-made, but I don't know that. So far, no one has categorically got to the bottom of the mystery. But the truth is surely lying there somewhere, waiting to be discovered down at the bottom of the sea. So why not read, world's oldest pyramid built 25,000 years ago was not made by humans, archaeologists claim. And then their space discovery shows that pyramids were built using ingenious method. Yeah. So you can sign up for that by the creator of this article, which I recommend you guys go and look at this article. It's by the Indy 100, and this article is Japan's ancient underwater pyramid remains one of the world's greatest mysteries. Alright. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, that's just pretty dang cool, I must say. Okay, let's check this one out. Let me get back over here. Hold on. So this is by AS, which is AS USA, and the title is Bodies Found in Ancient Mayan City, What a Mysterious Altar Reveals About the Culture from 1700 years ago, which I'm pretty sure we all know, probably longer ago than that. Alright. Sorry guys, the StreamYard is being about it is. Yeah, we already watched that one, the ancient period of pyramids on Mars. Okay, so bodies found in ancient Mayan city, what a mysterious altar reveals about the culture from 1700 years ago, which, like I said, probably longer than that. So little by little, researchers are unraveling the mystery of the Maya culture of Central America. A new study discovered unearthed by an international team of archaeologists in the heart of modern-day Guatemala has been another piece in the puzzle revealing a turbulent period of time of the ancient Maya city of Tikal. An altar was found buried under what is thought to be a natural hill just steps away from the city center. However, it was put there by people from another civilization whose homeland was some 630 miles away in Teotihuacan, outside modern-day Mexico City. Central Mexican storm god depicted an altar with bodies buried underneath. So researchers based their belief that the 1700-year-old altar wasn't the work of Maya craftsmen on decorations still visible on 4 painted panels. The red, black, and yellow paintings represent the Central American Mexican deity known as the storm god and appears to be the work of a highly skilled artist trained in Teotihuacan. Wow, that's pretty awesome. So if you look, I believe this is on TikTok. No, it's on X. So it's Antiquity J, and it's 5th century AD decorated altar from the lowland Maya center of Tikal, Guatemala, displays architectural and artistic forms from the powerful metropolis of Teotihuacan, Mexico, imitating the active Teotihuacan presence at Tikal. In hashtag antiquity thread, that is there, but yeah, that is pretty epic. So furthermore, the archaeologists discovered 2 bodies underneath the altar. One is most likely an adult male with a dart point made of green obsidian. The other, a 2 to 4-year-old child interred in a seating position. There were also 3 infants buried adjacent to the altar. It is so creepy. So dirt material and design are distinct to Teotihuacan, said Andrew Scherer of Brown University, one of the co-authors of a recently published paper on antiquity on the find. Additionally, the way the children were interred are all similar to burials discovered at Teotihuacan. All of this provides strong evidence that it wasn't the work of those in Tikal. What the altar confirms is that wealthy leaders from Teotihuacan came to Tikal and created replicas of ritual facilities that would have existed in their home city, explained Scherer. It shows Teotihuacan left a heavy imprint there. And how do they know that? Like, I haven't heard of anything like this in Teotihuacan. Wow, that is creepy. Creepy. I wonder how hard it would be to play this. So an extraordinary period of turbulence at Tikal. So it has been known for some time that the 2 cultures interacted for centuries before the altar was built, around the late 300s AD. This coincides with when Teotihuacan was essentially decapitating a kingdom, said another co-author of the research paper, Stephen Houston of Brown University, according to text on a stone discovered in the 1960s describing a conflict between the Maya and Teotihuacan. They removed the king and replaced him with a Geisling, puppet king, who proved a useful local instrument to Teotihuacan, explained Houston. The altar makes it increasingly clear that this was an extraordinary period of turbulence in Tikal, he added. Cementing the research team's theory that Teotihuacan had a lasting and even scarring impact on Tikal is that the Maya buried the altar and the surrounding area and then left it alone. This despite the site being prime real estate in the city even as it expanded, and following years as it rose to greater prominence while Teotihuacan began declining around 600 AD. Scherer explained that the Maya regularly buried buildings and rebuilt on top of them, but in the case of this particular spot in the city, the Mayas treated it almost like a memorial or a radioactive zone, he said. It's pretty dang interesting if you ask me. Wow. Archaeologists also found the lost Maya city in the jungle. Like the creation of all this technology that we have now, that we can penetrate the ground, we can see things and know things that we didn't know before. Right. Yes, we already saw that one. I think I left it because I wanted to read some other things on there. Here's some stuff about some other art that was found. So researchers studied a 11,000-year-old rock art motif and uncovered a fascinating story. This is by Tim Newcomb from Popular Mechanics. So this was deep in the Colombian Amazon. A team of scholars worked with indigenous elders to interpret a 12-mile-long stretch of 11,000-year-old rock art. That is a long stretch for art. Holy shnikes. Researchers now believe that the art tells a spiritual story of an interconnecting human and non-human world. The animals shown on the rocks weren't likely a direct interpretation of life, rather a spiritual transformation on the rocks that a human underwent. So maybe somebody died and came back to life? I don't know. So deep in the Colombian Amazon region of Serrania de la Mendoza, a roughly 12-mile stretch of rock is covered in a vast tapestry of colored art. Some of the drawings stretch back more than 11,000 years, showing native wildlife such as jaguars and anaconda, as well as scenes of humans morphing into animals. Skinwalkers. But there's plenty more meaning behind this ancient rock art than modern scholars first understood. So in a study published in the Journal of Anthropological Archaeology, a team of researchers from the University of Exeter partnered with institutions in South America working in the region and brought in indigenous elders and ritual specialists to help interpret the art, and so there's more to the art than originally believed. So indigenous descendants of the original artists have recently explained to us that the rock art motifs, let me pause this just in case. I said pause. Why is it not pausing? There we go. So the motifs here do not simply reflect what the artist saw in the real world. Jamie Hampson, lead author and archaeologist in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of Exeter in Cornwall, said in a statement. They also encode and manifest critical information about how animistic and perspectivist indigenous communities constructed, engaged with, and perpetrated their ritualized social cultural worlds. Ooh, so yeah, this video is from Creepy World. Oh. You might watch that. So it all comes down to Hampson. Said he was told to look at the motifs or motifs from a spiritual perspective. One of the most spectacular global rock art traditions. The study authors wrote, the area features tens of thousands of rock art motifs. But inaccessibility and political unrest have previously limited research in the region. Painted in vibrant ochre pigments, the diversity of animal motifs, the artwork ranges from taxonomically specific to quite ambiguous, often showing the fluidity between humans and animals, holds key information for all those in the Amazon who understood the world around them. As archaeologists have studied in the area for the past 6 years, recently work turned to 6 of the artistic panels at the Cerro Azul outcrop. Speaking in Spanish and the indigenous languages of Insana, Tucana, and Mukak, elders told archaeologists how the idea of transformation was a key theme throughout the art, including humans morphing into birds, sloths, lizards, and snakes. Anytime an animal appears in a non-realistic state, such as a panther drawn with 2 heads, they depict the spiritual world. Tucano speaking, Ishmael Sierra said, a listener elder told the team spirits themselves drew the art because of how high up in the rocks some of the art was. Elders pointed out how certain animals have more spiritual qualities than others. The jaguar, for example, represents spiritual knowledge, while animals such as anacondas, bats, and herons that can move between the ground and the water and the sky have special significance. In the explanation, elders shared how shamans leave physical identities behind and enter a spiritual world where they can connect to other forms of physicality, such as animals giving new meaning to the art showing humans intertwining with animal properties. It is the first time that the views of indigenous elders on their ancestors' rock art have been fully incorporated into research in this part of the Amazon, Gibson said. In doing so, it enables us to not simply look at the art from an outsider's perspective and guess. Alright, so let me go ahead and link this up, and no, that's another 8 minutes. Let's see how much time we have. Yeah, I really want to hear what this has to say, so let me take this back, hoping it doesn't start. And back on here to the StreamYard. Present. Where the heck is it? Okay, which one? Yes, that is it. Okay, let me go ahead and share that. Make it bigger. Turn it up. Okay, let me make sure you guys can see it. Alright, let's get it up.
Deep within the dense and humid expanse of the Mexican jungle lies a world long forgotten. Beneath the thick canopy of the Balamcu Biosphere Reserve in the state of Campeche, archaeologists have uncovered hidden remnants of the ancient Maya civilization. Using cutting-edge technology and good old-fashioned exploration, these findings offer new insights into one of the most enigmatic and advanced cultures of the ancient world. This story of rediscovery takes us back nearly 2 millennia to the height of Maya ingenuity and power. The Maya civilization, which flourished between 200 and 900 AD, was renowned for its intricate city planning, towering pyramids, and sophisticated understanding of mathematics and astronomy. At its peak, the Maya Empire spanned present-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and parts of Honduras and El Salvador. Their cities were centers of trade, culture, and religious rituals, with ball courts symbolizing power and wealth at the heart of these metropolises. Fast forward to today, and much of this civilization remains shrouded in mystery. The jungle has reclaimed many of their cities, making archaeological work challenging and exciting. Recently, a team of archaeologists from the Research Center of the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts, working alongside the Mexican National Institute of Anthropology and History, using advanced light detection and ranging technology, they scanned a 54 square mile section of the Biosphere Reserve, revealing shapes and structures hidden beneath the jungle's impenetrable foliage. LiDAR technology has transformed archaeology in recent years. By emitting laser pulses from aircraft to measure distances to the ground, LiDAR generates highly detailed topographical maps, even through dense vegetation. For the team exploring Campeche, this meant uncovering modest-sized settlements and larger, more complex structures that had been lost to time. As the team delved deeper, they discovered remnants of ancient Maya structures, including a plaza, elongated buildings, drainage systems, and most intriguingly, a ball court. These findings
Sorry, we have a dang old commercial here. But we'll play after ad. Hopefully it doesn't...
And a timeline from 200 AD to 1000 AD, offering a rare glimpse into both the early and later periods of Maya development. At the center of their discoveries was a ball court, a staple of Maya cities, where the ritualistic Maya ball game, or pits, was played. This ceremonial game held deep cultural and religious significance, symbolizing life, death, and cosmic balance. Ball courts were often placed at the heart of major cities, underscoring their importance in Maya society. But the ball court in Campeche held an extraordinary surprise.
What the heck?
Beneath its stone surface, the team unearthed parts of an earlier building adorned with painted stucco. While the purpose of this subterranean structure remains unknown, its prominence beneath such a symbolic feature suggests it once held great importance. Archaeologist Ivan Spryac, who led the excavation, believes further digs could reveal the building's shape and function, potentially rewriting what we know about the site's history.
Come on, man.
Beyond the ball court, the archaeologists uncovered a sprawling plaza surrounded by elongated structures. Dominating the plaza was a pyramid connected to a drainage channel that demonstrated the Mayas' advanced engineering skills. Based on ceramic fragments and architectural styles, the team dated the site to the late and terminal classic periods, 600 to 1000 AD. This suggests the area served as a hub of activity during the height of Maya civilization, likely functioning as a political or ceremonial center. The most striking discovery was a 52-foot-tall pyramid located near a water reservoir. At its summit, the team found remnants of ceremonial offerings, including ceramic shards, a flint point, and the leg of an animal, likely an armadillo or a large rodent. These artifacts point to ritual practices that persisted well into the late post-classic period, 1250 to 1524 AD. Long after the decline of the Grand Maya cities, Ivan Spryac theorizes that small, impoverished groups continued to inhabit the region, paying homage to their ancestors by placing offerings near their monumental structures. These rituals reveal the enduring spiritual connection the Maya had with their environment and heritage, even as their civilization's glory faded. Despite the excitement surrounding these discoveries, the findings also underscore the complexity and diversity of Maya civilization. Spryac notes that the settlements in this region appear less elaborate compared to those in more famous Maya sites like Tikal or Chichen Itza. Modest architectural designs and limited decorative elements suggest that this area might have been on the periphery of the grander cities, serving as a smaller regional hub. Nevertheless, the discoveries provide crucial pieces to the puzzle of Maya history. They highlight the adaptability of the Maya people, who built intricate drainage systems and established water reservoirs to thrive in challenging environments. Moreover, the ceremonial artifacts and structures reveal the continuity of cultural and religious practices over centuries. The Mayas' achievements in architecture, astronomy, and agriculture remain a source of wonder. Their ability to build thriving cities in dense jungles and their sophisticated understanding of celestial movements speak to their ingenuity and resilience. Yet their story is also a cautionary tale. Environmental challenges, resource depletion, and social upheaval are believed to have contributed to their decline, a narrative that resonates strongly in today's world. For the archaeologists working in Campeche, the discoveries are a reminder of the fragility and resilience of human cultures. The hidden structures in the jungle tell a story of survival, adaptation, and reverence for the past. As Spryac puts it, each find adds another chapter to the rich and complex history of the Maya people. The discoveries in Campeche are just the beginning. With continued advancements in technology and further excavations, archaeologists hope to uncover more secrets hidden beneath the jungle floor. Each new find brings us closer to understanding the complexities of the Maya civilization and its enduring legacy. As we look to the future, the lessons of the Maya remind us of the importance of preserving our shared heritage. The jungles of Mexico may still hold countless treasures, waiting to be unearthed by those who dare to look. For now, the mysteries of Campeche inspire awe and curiosity, inviting us to explore the rich tapestry of history woven into the heart of the jungle.
Well, that looks like the end of that video. But yeah, I was able to go and visit Mexico, but I wasn't able to go see cool stuff like that. Of course, when you're on a cruise or whatnot, you have to be quick when you're on land, because if you don't get back in time, they're going to leave without you, and that just really sucks, tell you what. Alright. I'm trying to get rid of some of these that just aren't very positive. Got a lot of UFOs and stuff, sightings. Those damn Allens. The birthplace of Mirawa JJ. Okay, let's not get there yet as far as the UFOs go. Okay, let's... war stuff. I'm so tired of war stuff, but it looks like we're down to alien stuff. Unless we want to go into war stuff, which I really don't want to, do you? Alright, let's see what this tab is called. US. Alright, let me go back over here and we'll share it. Okay, so this is pretty cool. U.S. military helicopter tracks UFO across Alaska. If you can believe that. Crazy! Let me make sure the sound is right on this. Alright.
Seward, Alaska is a major commercial and transportation hub on the Cook Inlet. Fishing boats flow in and out of the port. Helicopters fly overhead, serving offshore oil rigs, and Black Hawks from nearby military bases conduct training at all hours. But these earthly vessels and aircraft aren't alone in Alaska, where extraterrestrial occurrences seem constant. One sighting not far from the city over a decade ago was so unbelievable, yet seen by so many, that residents still speak of it in whispers to this day.
Alaska Starship.
I'm Bill Sleesman. I live in Seward, Alaska.
Recognize this guy.
I work for a fish processing plant, and I'm the dock manager. I unload salmon out of Resurrection Bay. I've been in Alaska since 1984, almost 36 years, I guess. Spent my whole life outside working outdoors.
But there's something ominous that comes with the territory, too.
I don't believe we're alone in the universe. The native cultures, and they say they've been seeing things for years, such as Bigfoot, UFOs, or whatever. I've never seen a Bigfoot, but I have seen some people call them UFOs. I've seen them with my own eyes. They're out there.
Bill's encounter happened many years ago, but it's etched in his memory forever.
I was sitting in my log cabin. It was just before dark, and, it was still daylight. And I heard this military helicopter, so I went out with my binoculars in my hand to investigate what was going on out there. What was strange to me, there was absolutely no markings on this Black Hawk helicopter. No white writing, no letters, no nothing. Completely blacked out. Looked at them for quite a while, seeing if I could figure out what they were doing. They were just sitting there hovering.
That was strange enough. But what Bill saw next as he headed back for the cabin would rattle him to the core.
It was like a starship. The thing was huge. Probably 1,500 to 2,000 feet long. probably 600 feet across, probably 350 feet in air. It was big. It was beautiful. It was kind of a gray silver color.
And it was close enough that Bill could make out details underneath.
It had kind of a diamond-type crystal right in the middle of the bottom of it that was emitting blue and white reddish lights. I sat there and looked at it, went, oh my God. I've been under a super tanker on a fishing boat, and this thing dwarfed the super tanker. And it was just sitting there hovering within a quarter mile of my house, or less.
As Bill stared at the craft, mesmerized, something weird started happening to his body.
I felt this strange feeling, almost like an energy-type power thing. And I wasn't sure what it was. I'd never felt it before, but it almost felt like my body was kind of humming. At that point, after I looked at it for a few minutes, I went into my house. I called my neighbors up and asked them, hey, would you do me a favor? Tell me I'm not crazy and look over the top of my house and tell me if you see what I think I'm seeing. They told me that, yes, they did. They were in shock also. And then I hung up with them, went out, set my chair in the yard, and sat there and watched it for hours.
It was just hovering there?
The next thing Bill knew, he was waking up inside.
I don't actually remember the thing leaving. All I know is that I was back in my house. I don't remember all of it.
Bill lost several hours of time that night, common with alien abductions. But there's one thing he's sure of. Whatever he saw that night was not of this world, and plenty of other people saw it too.
The next morning when I was going to work in Soldotna, we were listening to KSRM radio on sound off. There were people all over the area reporting seeing lights last night, and I had no doubt at that time that that was the same thing that I'd sat and watched for probably an hour and a half.
I'm Bob Bird. I'm from Nikiski, Alaska, and I'm a radio talk show host. This community is rather large. We have 40,000 people in our immediate trading area. As a result, the show Sound Off takes calls on almost any topic. That night, hundreds of people saw it. Strange lights over Cook Inlet. The lights would hover, they would move horizontally, they would move vertically, they cast reflections on the inlet waters, and was seen by hundreds of people. Bruce is on the line, and Bruce, you're live on the Bird's Eye View.
I'm looking when I see these lights through the trees, and I'm thinking, what the hell would that be?
And then what happened?
Well, they just went by, and that was it.
You are live on the Bird's Eye View.
Yeah, I'm in the city of Michigan. I saw some strange lights over Tuscaloosa. Would have been like about midnight-ish, at least. It was like midnight to 1 a.m. So it was lights moving in a strange pattern that I'd never seen before.
Now, we do have oil platforms, but they are nowhere near where these lights were seen or even in their direction. Of course, helicopters come and go for the servicing of the oil platforms. But the folks that I spoke with who actually saw it said they could not figure out the speed and maneuverability of the lights. Certainly had nothing to do with the helicopter. Any single person can be mistaken, but when, there's all the citizens who live in the bluff are reporting the same thing, you have to give it some sort of credibility.
There were a lot of people on the Kenai Peninsula that saw this. Nobody really offered any theories. I never asked about it because, back 30 years ago, people would label you as He's crazy.
Bill suspects the truth is out there, but that the government is holding its secrets close to the vest.
The military guys that were in that helicopter, it had to be military, and it was apparent to me that they were following this UFO and they were tracking it. I can understand our government not wanting to tell people because a lot of people do not want to believe, but they're out there. Trust me. I've seen them. They do exist.
You do.
The reason I think that Alaska would have as many UFO sightings as they have had, it's a really, really big state. There's lots of places to hide. If they don't want you to see them, you aren't going to see them.
He challenges anyone who thinks that spaceship was just a figment of imagination.
I'm here to tell you, this thing was real. It was very large, and I was kind of stunned, and it was just sitting there hovering with no sound. I saw it with my own eyes. Seeing is believing, and this was the first I've ever seen anything like that. I've seen lights in the sky and stuff like that, blew it off as satellites or airplane or something else, but nothing that I ever was concerned about. But I saw what I saw, and that's the way it is, and I'll take that to my grave.
Yeah, that was pretty darn interesting, don't you think? I really do think. Well, on that note, boys and girls, we are going to go to our second music break. And we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard once again with Abandoned, which is one of my favorites, Molitude and Good Life. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Left here alone, just a shadow of my erection on the wall. Why won't you answer my calls? I gave I got molar moves, got that molar too. You think it's wrong? I could've had too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
All these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And I bang up the snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your mom till 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history.
How can I maneuver you with that pussy, dude? You sit like Buddha waiting on it to come to you.
My lines are straight to the point. She shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude?
Let's adjust your attitude.
What a alligator, double dually Lamborghini.
All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that.
What a alligator, double dually Lamborghini.
All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head, I'm never gonna cut it.
Alligator, double dually Lamborghini.
All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
You're like the butt of a butternut cutting up panini. So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie.
These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be bought.
So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. You wanna bite my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head, I'm never gonna cut it.
Got that motherfucking ballin'. You wanna touch it?
Yeah. Next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my mullet makes your hose pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head, I'm never gonna cut it. I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head, I'm never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You got a cigarette? You help a guy out with some spare change. Anything will do, man. Oh, God bless. Can I just get your change? I missed the bus. I got these 6 right down. I'm not an animal. Moving like a steak knife.
This is the good life.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we've been covering a plethora of things, and yeah, we're getting deeper into those damn islands. I'm going to go ahead and get this up and ready to present to you. Let's check. Let's do this one first. All those damn owl messages. Right. No. What is this? I don't want to see you, but I can. Alright, so in this explanation of this video from history, man, hold it. These cryptic cave paintings hold secret messages about aliens. See more in this compilation from The Proof is Out There. Watch all new episodes of The Proof is Out There Fridays at 10, 9 Central and stay up to date on all your favorite History Channel shows. And yeah, so I got some pretty dang cool stuff on this show. Let me go ahead and get it ready to go. Oh wow, that one's longer than I expected. I'm really curious to see what he has to say. Let's do it.
If they are from our world at all, instead, could they be ancient alien astronauts? In the Kimberley region of Western Australia, the Aboriginal people left intriguing paintings on cave walls. They are called the Wangina, incredible beings Aboriginals said created the world. Take a closer look. Do you see the round heads and circular eyes? According to George Haas, founder of the Cydonia Institute, the Wangina could be out-of-this-world evidence.
They have radiating feathers that come off the head. Some believe that when you first look at these, they scream alien. And the absence of mouths suggests that possibly these extraterrestrials were telepathic.
Wait a minute. Did he say aliens? It's an intriguing theory. What we do know is that Australian Aboriginal culture goes back 65,000 years and holds that humans were created by the Wangina. These unique paintings are a record of that period, which they call Dreamtime.
You don't see these type of images in other cave paintings done by Neanderthals and early man, which mostly deal with hunting and animals, deer, bison. But these paintings that we're seeing in Australia are totally unique.
In some tales, the Wangina are referred to as sky beings or spirits from the clouds who came down from the Milky Way and created the Earth and its people.
Some believe that these portraits of the Wangina certainly blur the line between extraterrestrial and spiritual world. They seem to have aspects of both.
When it comes to our origins, some speculate that ancient extraterrestrial visitors engineered the creation of modern humans through DNA manipulation or some other means. The paintings are intriguing. Look closely at the lines going across, creating sections on the body, here and here. Could this be the pattern of an ancient spacesuit? We asked our experts. We begin with anthropologist Kathy Strain, who notes that if the paintings are an elaborate hoax, someone must have thought of it over a century ago.
They were documented by anthropologists more than 100 years ago. And outside the fact that you're adding some paint to keep the color alive, they haven't changed. These are not a hoax.
So if the pictures are real, are they of aliens? We ask archaeologist Ed Barnhart.
There are people who envision that it's helmets on their heads and suits on their bodies, but this is a very plodding-looking helmet. The kind of helmet that you see in 1950s aliens movies. It's kind of ridiculous to believe that an advanced civilization came here in suits that, in our current technology, are archaic.
And the idea that these designs on the bodies are spacesuits?
you're going to see an image like this and envision suits on their bodies, but we do see today in Aboriginal ceremonies, people typically paint their bodies completely white, their faces, their hair, and then they'll put some kind of decoration over that. So I think that it is clearly connected to Aboriginal people who today paint their bodies in a very similar fashion.
In fact, Kathy Strain sees a clue in one image that convinces her these are strictly human bodies.
It is pretty rare to see genitalia of a male in rock art, and based on things that witnesses say that space aliens don't have genitalia, that's not how they reproduce, these look like human genitalia.
So what are we seeing?
The halo around the head, I don't believe that they intended it to be interpreted as anything other than it's the process of transforming, and that's your head kind of extending and above itself and continuing to carry out.
The halo has been used in many different cultures throughout history to represent spiritual transformation, including the Aboriginal Australians.
These images around the heads are some kind of symbol of the expansion of their minds and spirits.
So our verdict, these were likely humans. In fairness, you do have to ask, do the Aboriginal traditions of body decoration stem from a time when strange beings were observed? It's impossible to completely discount, but if these particular paintings were aliens, well then let's just say they were endowed in a human way. It's March 2018 in Longyu, China, about 200 miles southwest of Shanghai. Researcher Andrew Kuznetsov is visiting the area to see what some call the ninth wonder of the ancient world. His footage reveals a gigantic cavern with huge pillars supporting a 60 to 100 foot high sloped ceiling. The walls are covered in a series of parallel chiseled lines and symbols, including stone carvings of animals.
As soon as I first saw this case, I thought that they were made by modern machinery. I was overwhelmed because of the giant volume of extracted material. The main mystery of these caves is why they were built, because there is no signs of using them by humans.
Journalist Aaron McCarthy says the caves were only recently discovered in 1992 when 4 farmers were trying to drain what legend said was a bottomless lake gifted from the gods.
When they drained the first pond, they discovered a huge cavern. They ended up draining a bunch more ponds, and in all they discovered 24 caverns, but the average size of the caverns is 11,000 square feet, which is 7 times bigger than the average American house.
Archaeologists believe these underground grottos were carved by hand more than 2,000 years ago during the Han Dynasty. And what's even more remarkable is that the walls and columns supporting the caves are relatively thin, yet they have remained intact for millennia despite seismic activity in the area. Still, though this is considered a wonder of the world, unlike the pyramids in the Colosseum, there's no universally accepted idea of what it was used for, which is rather bizarre.
Some have speculated that perhaps this is some kind of underground palace or a tomb for an emperor. The first emperor of China was buried with 8,000 terracotta soldiers. Another theory is that this was always meant to be a reservoir.
Whatever its purpose, the network of caves is so massive and detailed that it seems it would be nearly impossible to construct with only the hand tools available back in ancient China.
Experts have estimated that it would have taken 1,000 people working 24 hours a day for 6 years to carve out all of these caverns. Workers would have had to remove nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock.
Some questions that add to the mystery. If workers excavated all that rock, then where did it go? And why were no tools found in or near the caverns? There's also no mention of the caves in any written records, so no one even knew they existed until 30 years ago. Let's see what our experts can unearth. Archaeologist Dr. Ed Barnhart considers whether this cave system could be an ancient palace.
The palace has a number of different functions and individual rooms for privacy. The kind of individual spaces that a palace needs to function are not indicated in these caverns.
Then since they're so elaborate, could they have been burial chambers like with the emperor's terracotta warriors? Anthropologist Kathy Strange thinks it's unlikely.
They have to continually pump this because water keeps getting in it from natural sources. I would not assume that someone would want to bury somebody in a constructed cave that continually filled with water.
Others have wondered if the caves were used by miners to extract some valuable mineral, but no trace of mining equipment has ever been found. And since these spaces seem to fill naturally with water, Strange suggests they could have been originally created as reservoirs.
They were precisely built so that water coming down from rain or a monsoon would get captured into these caverns and then it'd be used by the local people for a water source. It's like a big gutter, and it's all focused to go into the caverns.
Yet Barnhart isn't so sure.
If these were reservoirs, why would they bother carving the walls in these nice linear formations?
Barnhart thinks there might be another explanation for why water was welcomed in this space.
The very few objects that we have found in these caverns are from the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty was famous for its silk technology. The weaving of silk is best done in a very humid environment. With those parallel lines that are really kind of overhangs to each one of them, creating places where the condensation would rise the humidity within this environment.
For 6 weeks after they hatch, silkworms eat mulberry leaves and then start spinning their silk cocoons. Scientists have found around 75% humidity is ideal for silkworm growth. It helps keep the leaves from withering. Once the cocoons are ready, they are boiled to soften them into threads. The threads are dyed, spun, and woven into fabric, with humid air keeping the natural fibers more pliable. Our verdict? The true purpose behind these mysterious caves remains unknown. Barnhart's theory about them being used for silk making is intriguing, but there's no smoking gun. Archaeologists haven't found any artifacts like looms, silkworm cocoons, or minerals for dyes in or near the caves. It's July 2014 in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh, where there are a number of caves and paintings made by hunter-gatherer populations going back as far as 10,000 years. Archaeologist J.R. Bhagat claims he recently made a unique discovery here.
और ये शहर चित्र जो है लगभग 10,000 वर्ष पुराने आदि मानवों के द्वारा निर्मित शहर चित्र है.
While giving a tour to reporters, Bhagat shows a rock face on which there are half a dozen dark red and yellow painted beings standing together in a group.
In this particular painting, which looks quite strange, we have some individuals with larger heads, different colored arms and hands, and they don't look like the other people depicted on these cave walls. So we have a lot of people believing that the ancient humans who painted these drawings were actually painting images of aliens from another world.
The theory that these are depictions of extraterrestrials is bolstered by another painting of what appears to be a mechanical-looking disc painted on the cave ceiling.
It resembles a saucer-shaped object, which became kind of the pop cultural representation of UFOs in the 1950s and 60s.
These aren't the only ancient representations of allegedly extraterrestrial beings.
We also have a number of other ancient civilizations who have created similar things. For instance, we have the Wajina figures on a rock shelter in Australia. We also have petroglyphs in Capitol Reef State Park here in the United States.
Let's take another look at this disc-shaped object from India. These three lines, right here, again right here, and right here, have alternately been described as beams or legs of a tripod, and these apparent portholes, right here and right here, match with contemporary representations of alien spacecraft. So what can our experts unearth about this peculiar cave art?
What's that?
First, anthropologist Kathy Strange says these ancient drawings must have marked a significant event or encounter.
They're not just doodles. Cave walls are very valuable. So for them to paint this, it must have been something important to them as a people. They're trying to represent something that they want to pass on to the next generation.
These bulbous-headed figures do indeed resemble the humanoid depictions of aliens that eventually dominated in the 20th century. So a connection seems possible. However, archaeologist Ed Barnhart believes they are documentation of a different kind of cosmic trip.
These ancient cultures relied upon people called shamans who would typically go into altered states of consciousness to receive information, and those were induced by hallucinogenic drugs or starvation or sleep deprivation. What they painted on the walls were their experiences they were having during their hallucinogenic trances. In those caves, they would feel like they're floating outside of their body, and they would show themselves elongated and the floor falling out below them.
It's not that the figures' heads were extra large, but that the bodies were stretched as they felt they were floating up. And as for the UFO-like object, that's also more likely something else from the heavens.
Instead of it being a beam from an alien ship, it actually is just sun rays, and they're projecting that the sun is at its full potential, probably noon right above your head. There's other examples in the general area in India and other places in the world that show a very similar object.
Our verdict? These well-preserved Indian rock paintings are most likely the work of shamans from prehistoric hunter-gatherer societies, who made them while in an altered state of consciousness. Even if these ancient artists weren't seeing aliens, they were definitely experiencing something truly out of this world. Cambodia, the early 2000s. Deep in the country's northern jungles, the 12th century Ta Prohm temple has undergone a series of renovations when the internet starts to buzz because of this.
We have all of these carvings of very conventional animals, and then we have what looks like a stegosaurus.
Zoom in, and it sure looks like a dinosaur.
It seems to have the tail, the spikes running along the back, and it raises a lot of questions. How do we get a dinosaur present on this temple when these dinosaurs went extinct at the beginning of the Cretaceous?
That is, unless you believe in a different history of the Earth.
There's a subset of creationists called young earthers, and they believe that God created the earth 10,000 years ago, and they take this sculpture as proof that humans and dinosaurs lived at the same time. And not just that they lived at the same time, but that we even domesticated dinosaurs.
Fun fact, the word dinosaur and the whole field of paleontology didn't evolve until the 1840s. Before that, scientists struggled to find other explanations for gigantic fossilized bones. Some were even thought to be the remains of ancient giants. But what will this case reveal? Let's ask our experts. First, is this carving even legit?
Some people have suggested someone made a new carving that looked like a stegosaurus as a hoax. Of the column it's on, you can see the depth of the carving is the same in each one of them. So if someone was going to take a carving out and put a new carving in there, it would have been deeper in the wall.
So if this is no hoax, then what else could it be? Wildlife biologist Stephanie Shetler has an idea.
My guess is that it's a rhinoceros. People, when they think about rhinoceroses, they think about the horn, obviously, and this carving doesn't seem to have the horn, but the Javan rhinoceros, the females actually don't have horns. So that's what I think is going on here.
But that still doesn't explain those quintessential stegosaurus plates. Barnhart says the outer ring of the carving holds the key clue.
Look at these things around here. These are floral designs. The Khmer loved to make very busy pieces of art like this. So when there was negative space, they put leaves in there to balance it out. That's what these are. These are leaves.
Barnhart agrees that the motif depicts a living animal. He just doesn't see a rhino.
I have been to that temple, and right there, not 100 yards from that temple, are grazing water buffalo today. And those water buffalo have the same kind of horns. They look exactly like the animal in that depiction. The chances that that image is a stegosaurus is zero. The chances that it was an artist who might have been fired after making that column, I'd give that a 50-50.
So, our verdict? This is a real centuries-old carving, merely depicting a water buffalo with palm fronds in the background. So far, there is no proof out there that our ancestors once kept pet dinosaurs a la Fred Flintstone.
Alright, so that was the History Channel. But yeah, I don't agree. I do believe that they depicted and did art on things they saw. They didn't just make stuff up. They carved things they saw. And, yeah, the last guy is just arrogant and thinks he knows everything. That's how I feel anyways. Alright, more alien stuff coming in. There's an alien life signature found on a mysterious ocean planet. Proof of strange creatures in silver suits from the Russians. UFO topic in Congress again today. Planet X discovered, what it means for Earth. They are watching us, 5 mysterious objects. Scientists discovered a planet in our solar system that, I believe it says, is harboring life. Let's do the 5 mysterious objects. I want to see that one. That one to me would be interesting. Okay. Oh, I see it. What's it? I'm curious.
The 1950s transients.
And don't forget to subscribe to Mark 5. 22.7 million subscribers. That's pretty good.
On April 12, 1950, astronomers at the Palomar Observatory in Southern California captured a series of photographic plates that would later kick off one of the most intriguing mysteries in modern astronomy. The images, taken 7 years before the launch of any man-made satellites, were part of a routine survey of the night sky. They revealed 9 points of light, each resembling a distant star to the human eye. However, these lights appeared in only one set of photographs. In images taken just moments before and immediately after, the points of light simply weren't there. The transients, as they are now called, were discovered by Beatrice Villarroel, a postdoctoral researcher at the Nordic Institute for Theoretical Physics. Villarroel had been reviewing old photographs of the night sky in 2021 to find signs of other transient celestial events, such as supernovas and quasars. While singular transients were not uncommon, astronomers had never captured images of 9 such objects appearing and disappearing simultaneously. Could these lights be something altogether different? Perhaps even extraterrestrial in origin? Together with a small team of astronomers, Villarroel began re-examining the original plates and considering new possibilities. They ruled out common faults with the photographic equipment, and even the possibility of contamination from radioactivity. They noted that the pattern of the lights did not match those of typical flares, and confirmed that there had been no nuclear tests in the vicinity. Additionally, photographic plates were routinely stored in radiation-proof containers by 1950. Follow-up observations using modern telescopes failed to identify any counterparts to these transient objects, ruling out known astrophysical phenomena such as gamma ray bursts, microlensing events, asteroids, meteors, or variable stars. Villarroel and her fellow astronomers later published a paper suggesting that the 9 transient objects might be located within the solar system, possibly in or near a geosynchronous orbit with Earth. They proposed that the simultaneous appearance of these transients occurring before the launch of any human-made satellites could be evidence of ancient extraterrestrial probes or a communication relay. Despite these theories, the mystery remains unsolved. The Black Knight. Few tales of extraterrestrial lore have endured as persistently as that of the Black Knight satellite, a theory which proposes that an ancient alien probe has been silently orbiting Earth for millennia has been debated by UFO enthusiasts and theorists since its inception in 1973. The The concept gained traction through the work of Scottish writer Duncan Lunan, who, along with a group of amateur astronomers, explored the mystery of delayed radio echoes, a phenomenon first observed in the 1920s by Norwegian engineer Jørgen Hals. Lunan's analysis led to a controversial hypothesis. The echoes might be transmissions that had been orbiting Earth for 13,000 years, monitoring humanity since the dawn of the Stone Age. Though Lunan later retracted his theory as unscientific, it nevertheless ignited widespread speculation and intrigue. Over the years, it has become a tangled web of possibly related events, misinterpretations, and imaginative embellishments. Consider this mysterious famous photograph taken during the 1998 STS-88 space shuttle mission. Released to the public without fanfare as part of a routine photo set, theorists quickly seized on the appearance of an oddly shaped black object floating just above the Earth's horizon, claiming it was the Black Knight.
That ain't no stone.
NASA maintains that the photo captures a piece of simple space debris, likely a thermal blanket tossed during a spacewalk while building the International Space Station. Other evidence for the existence of the Black Knight is coupled together from varied events throughout history. For example, some trace the story back to Nikola Tesla's 1899 experiments in Colorado Springs, where he reportedly received strange radio signals that some later speculated could have been of extraterrestrial origin. Others point to a 1954 New York Times article that stated the Pentagon had discovered 2 unidentified satellites orbiting Earth 3 years before the first launch of any man-made satellites. Then, there was the February 1960 incident, when Time magazine reported that the U.S. Navy had detected a dark object in orbit, initially thought to be a Soviet spy satellite, but later claimed to be debris from an Air Force satellite. The 1963 Mercury 9 mission, piloted by astronaut Gordon Cooper, is another event often cited in connection with the Black Knight. Cooper supposedly reported a UFO sighting during his 15th orbit, a claim said to have been confirmed by tracking stations. However, neither NASA's mission transcripts nor Cooper's personal records corroborate the account. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Black Knight satellite legend is its resilience. The 1998 photographs, despite being identified as mere space debris, continue to fuel the theory, while Lunan's retraction of his alien probe hypothesis is often dismissed by some as a concession to external pressure. Until new evidence emerges, proof of the Black Knight satellite remains elusive, always out of reach, yet never entirely dismissed. Mysterious wingmen. During its third and most recent mission, beginning in December 2023, China's Shenlong spaceplane appears to have intermittently released a series of 7 unknown objects that now trail the craft around Earth's orbit. These objects, some emitting cryptic signals, were detected by amateur astronomers and satellite trackers, adding to the existing mystery surrounding the Shenlong and its secretive missions. The Shenlong, or Divine Dragon, was first launched secretly in September 2020 aboard a Long March 2FT-3 rocket from the Zhochuan Satellite Launch Center. The craft was tracked during subsequent missions, but this is the first time it's been observed to deploy any objects. The first group of 6 objects, nicknamed the Mysterious Wingmen by amateur satellite tracker Scott Tilley, were deployed shortly after launch. Each object seems to broadcast a different type of data through repeating patterns. Attempts to decode the signals have been unsuccessful, leading some analysts to suggest they are merely placeholders for future transmissions. The mystery grew earlier this year when a 7th object was released in May 2024. Astronomer Jonathan McDowell noted that this object's release coincided with a sudden maneuver by the Shenlong, and he proposed that the object could be a sub-satellite deployment, or perhaps a piece of hardware jettisoned before the Shenlong was deorbit. However, further analysis suggests that these objects could merely be debris drifting near the Shenlong, with the signals attributed to them actually originating from nearby satellites. Whether harmful or not, the true nature of the objects remains unconfirmed, and China is reluctant to comment on what they might be. Official reports from Chinese state media assert that the Shenlong is solely testing reusable flight technology, emphasizing that the mission is intended to provide provide, quote, technical support for the peaceful use of space. Cosmos 2499. There have been many sacrifices in the history of the Russian space program, and one of the most recent is the satellite Cosmos 2499. Launched in 2013, the primary purpose of Cosmos 2499 remains a mystery. Launched in secret, Cosmos 2499 was intentionally left off of the official launch manifest. This omission was no oversight, but a deliberate move, igniting speculation about its purpose. Was it a tool of espionage, or perhaps an anti-satellite weapon engineered to neutralize enemy technologies? These theories gained traction as scientists monitoring the satellite observed its peculiar behavior. From the moment it reached orbit, Cosmos 2499 exhibited an unusual flight pattern. It didn't follow the predictable path of a typical satellite. Instead, it maneuvered in ways that suggested it was being remotely controlled or following some specific programming with unknown intentions. By 2014, U.S. satellite trackers, who'd been casually referring to it as an object, reclassified Cosmos 2499 as a payload, after the satellite began performing maneuvers that could no longer be dismissed as benign. Russia eventually broke its silence with vague reassurances in response to growing international curiosity and concern. Cosmos 2499, they claimed, was no killer satellite, but rather a research tool. Still, they offered no concrete details to verify their claim. Russia later asserted that the satellite was part of an experiment to test plasma propulsion engines, a technology promising more energy-efficient spacecraft navigation. But this explanation did little to quell suspicions, particularly considering the satellite's sudden and dramatic end. On January 4th, 2023, without warning, Cosmos 2499 began to break apart in low Earth orbit. It was a sudden and violent disintegration, baffling observers. The satellite, which had not exhibited significant activity in recent years, is now lying in pieces. U.S. officials confirmed the breakup, but remained silent about the cause. This led some to speculate that the satellite may have been disabled or attacked by the U.S. for national security purposes. The truth may never be fully known, and with the satellite now fragmented into 85 separate pieces, the West may have lost its last chance to uncover the object's true nature. This debris cloud, circling the Earth at an altitude of 700 miles, will continue to orbit our planet for a century or more before falling back into the atmosphere. Mesius. A mysterious satellite was quietly launched into orbit in August 2016 aboard one of China's Long March 2D rockets. Named Mesius, after an ancient Chinese philosopher who championed the use of logic and scientific inquiry over 2 millennia ago, this satellite is equipped with a highly sensitive photon receiver, and it is on a unique mission: teleportation between the Earth and outer space. Not all objects in Earth's orbit can be seen from the ground, or even up close by the human eye, and this is where Mesius comes in. Recent experiments appear to have successfully transported an object into space. The object itself may only be a photon, or rather the photon's state, but the implications for this accomplishment are vast. The heart of these experiments lies in the mysterious phenomenon of quantum entanglement. When two particles, such as photons, become entangled, they are described by the same wave function, effectively sharing a singular existence in two places simultaneously. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, but for the scientists working with Mesius, it's a powerful tool to probe the very fabric of reality. In 2017, Mesius received information regarding the quantum state of a photon from a distance of 870 miles above the surface of the Earth. This is the furthest that any quantum communication system has operated over. To do this, Chinese scientists created an entangled pair of photons, keeping one on the ground and beaming the other to Mesius. Then they compared the states of both, using Mesius's hypersensitive instruments to confirm that the two were entangled. The experiment was repeated millions of times, with 911 positive results. Considering the accuracy required to deliver the data to a moving target, this is an incredible feat, One scientist at the Brisbane Center for Quantum Dynamics called the success, quote, a big step towards global-scale quantum communication. Such communication would be almost impossible for enemies to intercept or interrupt, making it one of the most secure means of communication possible.
Does
the black knight exist? If so, was it sent from an alien civilization? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching Dark 5. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.
For some reason, my StreamYard quit working. I'm pretty sure my Spreaker is still up. Yeah, looks good. Let's get back in there. Hello. Well, that was weird. Let me go ahead and do this next one because I really want to see it. Yes. And this is the History Channel. Again, believe it or not, it is one of my favorite channels. I think they're like part of the agenda to educate us all on the Sam Allen stuff, but yeah, I want to hear about these creatures in silver suits by... Oh, what's it gonna say? See, subscribe, I like it. I can't hear it. It's weird. I see. Still got the main towers going. I don't know what the heck is going on. What the crack? Double check some stuff really quick. Everything looks good.
Headlines in 2023 when he claimed that the U.S. government has a secret UFO crash retrieval program. But what to do if you, as a civilian, see a UFO fall out of the sky? As you're about to see, one family had to answer that question for themselves. July 5th, 2022. James Dean and his family are fishing in the Gulf of Mexico, about 72 miles off the coast of Florida. James is recording yet another successful catch on his phone when something spectacular calls everyone's attention to the sky. A few miles away, a round object spirals toward the ocean. After 5 more objects fall in succession, James and his family decide to check it out for themselves. But as they near the site of the drop, they discover streaks of fluorescent green. When the video gets posted, commenters claim it captured a crashing UFO, and the green tint is an otherworldly result of that wreckage. If it is a crashed ET, it's allegedly not the first.
On January 8th, 2014, a large object fell into the Pacific Ocean, and the U.S. Space Command was able to confirm it did not come from this star system. Some believe that it isn't something naturally occurring, that it was actually alien in origin. And videos like this showing objects falling from the sky are actually alien craft returning home.
That's because, as journalist MJ Benias points out, some believe that the Earth's oceans are actually home to underwater alien bases.
Within the UFO narrative, there are UFOs, which are unidentified flying objects, but there's also something called a USO, which is unidentified submersible object. Some people claim that they belong to potentially some sort of extraterrestrial species, and it resides in the depths of the ocean that we have yet to explore.
This video, taken in 2015 on Russia's Lake Baikal, shows a blue-green light in the water, a light that we could not identify, and it gets weirder.
In 1982, Russian divers were operating under the water when all of a sudden they bumped into these strange creatures wearing silvery suits.
So is this video from the Gulf of Mexico further proof of water-dwelling aliens? While the idea of underwater alien bases is still speculative, underwater human bases are very real. In fact, the coast of Florida is home to an underwater research facility known as the Aquarius Reef Base. Is James's video proof of an underwater facility of the alien variety? Our experts dive in to learn more. Before we get to the object itself, we ask marine biologist Shay Steingast to address that green glow. Could it be natural?
Bioluminescence is a really common ocean adaptation, and there's at least 1,500 different species of fish that bioluminesce.
This adaptation can be used to warn predators, lure prey, or even communicate. But Steingast doesn't think that's what's happening here.
If there were animals bioluminescing or glowing here, it wouldn't be this bright, vivid green. That's not a typical color. And second off, we wouldn't be seeing this during the day. This is something entirely different than bioluminescent organisms.
So we ask aviation expert Tim McMillan, is an unidentified submerged object producing this light?
There have been reports of USOs. However, in those cases, these are transmedium objects, so objects which are able to enter the water or exit the water without any substantial change to that environment. That's not what we see here.
Notice how this bright green spreads across the water. It doesn't look as much like the roving green light of an underwater vehicle as it does a broad spill.
We obviously see this object has interacted with the environment.
If it's not nature and it's not aliens, that leaves one culprit: humans. So could this be a secret government experiment?
Typically, if you're going to test anything in secret, you wouldn't expect them to release a fluorescent dye. There's a huge indication this is by design. It's something that has been released on purpose to draw attention.
But draw attention to what? Astronomer Mark D'Antonio says there are a few possibilities.
In almost every case where there's an accident, the captain might release a fluorescein dye marker to mark their location for rescue. This is used by commercial shipping, Defense Department, in submarines, surface vessels, rocket launches, and so forth.
But McMillan thinks he can narrow it down a little further by taking a closer look at the falling object that started it all.
You'll notice that the object is leaving a corkscrew contrail. What that says is that there's been a profound change in the center of mass and center of pressure of that object. If you're looking at a multi-stage rocket, the first stage detaches itself, second stage takes over. So that first stage, where it was stable when it was all configured as one rocket, is now no longer stable, and that's where you get that spinning.
Okay, so if it's debris from a rocket launch, which one?
Now, I looked up some schedules and found that there was no SpaceX launch on July 5th, which is when this was reported to have been done. So, where does that leave us? Well, there are launches that are unknown. You won't find them listed anywhere online because they're classified launches.
Our verdict? We're pretty sure these are fallen rocket boosters, intended to be recovered for reuse if that bright green dye is any indication. But we agree with Mark D'Antonio that this could be a top-secret launch. The true purpose of this mission remains a mystery.
StreamYard. This one's a quick one, so I wanted to share this one. Alien life signature found on mysterious ocean world 120 light years from Earth.
Will you regret it if you get divorced? This may sound harsh, but if you're certain that you will have no regret...
Now go away, you turb. So they believe to have found the strongest signature yet of alien life on a distant planet 120 light years from Earth. So astronomers at the University of Cambridge say that they are 99.7% confident they've detected a biosignature of biological activity on K2-18b, a planet in the constellation of Leo. So the discovery made was using the Webb James Webb Space Telescope. It's been described as potentially one of the biggest landmarks in the history of science. So K2-18b is what scientists they call Icean world, a planet covered in oceans with a thick hydrogen atmosphere. It's approximately 2.5 times the size of Earth and 8.6 times more massive. That planet's huge. Looks like there's a lot of wind. So researchers believe the planet may be teeming with life in its vast oceans, which could be slightly warmer than Earth's. The planet orbits a red dwarf star in what astronomers call the habitable zone, where liquid water can exist. So a year on K2-18b lasts just 33 days, as it orbits much closer to its star than Earth does to the Sun. That's crazy. Let's go ahead and see if we can listen to these.
The question, are we alone in the universe, is back in the spotlight as government officials speak out in a new documentary. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimber.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
An explosive documentary is setting out to prove aliens are real.
It's interesting. It shows the towers there. I don't know what the deal is. What's the dealio?
Real, and the government is covering it up. The new film, The Age of Disclosure, claims to reveal an 80-year cover-up of the existence of non-human intelligent life and a secret war amongst major nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
It features more than 30 U.S. officials speaking out on the alleged existence of aliens and UFOs, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Even presidents have been operating.
Money. Why won't you just work? It's like, what am I paying for? Well, I guess we're just gonna buffer for a little bit.
Rubio.
Even presidents have been operating.
Yep. Not who.
A need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
The film just premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival.
It kind of spread like wildfire amongst those who are in the inner circle on this within our government, and they started to realize this is a unique opportunity to bring the truth out. I think it gave them an opportunity to tell.
Yep, they don't want you to hear. Well, they don't listen to this, they say. Come on, man. This guy back here looks very concerned. Well, sorry about this, guys. I was
contributors.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
Reaction.
Oh my god. Huh. Wasn't that weird? Wait. Okay, so we can see how they feel about that. So the astronomers detected dimethyl sulfide DMS and dimethyl disulfide DMDS in K2-18b's atmosphere, molecules that on Earth are only produced by living organisms, primarily marine phytoplankton. Did you guys hear about all that crap on the Pacific coast that's going on with all the sea life because there's like 1, 2, 3 different toxic algae in the ocean? It's pretty bad. Alright, so these chemical signatures were found at concentrations thousands of times higher than in Earth's atmosphere, more than 10 parts per million compared to 1 part per billion on Earth. So the detection was made using 2 different instruments on James Webb Space Telescope, providing independent lines of evidence. Scientists say there is no known non-biological process that could explain the presence of these molecules at such high levels. Lead scientist Professor Niku Madhusudan said, "There is no mechanism in the literature that can explain that what we are seeing without life. This is a transformational moment in the search for life beyond the solar system." Professor Madhusudan said, "Given everything we know about this planet, a yet-seen world with an ocean that is teeming with life is the scenario that best fits the data we have." He added, "It's a question humanity has been asking for thousands of years. It's a shock to the system. It takes time to recover from the enormity of it." Despite the confidence in their findings, the scientists emphasize that more work is needed to confirm the discovery. So the current certainty level is 3 sigma, which is 99.7%. But researchers want to reach 5 sigma, which is 99.9994%, to declare a definitive discovery. And you turn that upside down, and what is it? It's creepy. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, this looks the same as the other one we were checking out. See how much time we have. Oh, we have about 2 minutes. Well, guys, it's been cool, it's been fun, and it's been real, and it's been fun. It ain't been real fun. Kidding. But yeah, thanks so much again for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It was awesome hanging out with you and sharing this different stuff that's going on out there. I still have more that I wanted to cover tonight, but I figure we can do it sometime this week. I'm hoping to get in there and do it, but it's been difficult as of late. Yeah, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Look to the sky, there's always something going on up there. Guys, thanks again for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I hope you learned a lot. I learned some stuff. Thanks for listening wherever you may be listening or watching from the two of you, which is the only view we get these days. But yeah, don't forget, we're all this together. Together we can make the world a bit better, and together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get in here during the week to so that we can cover more of these videos and dig a little deeper into it, because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. Don't forget, fam, we are all in this together. Together we can live a little bit better. Together, my friends, we can fix this little message to give. You use, take care of yourself. Don't work hard or too hard this week, and take care of my use. Night, night, love night. Have a wonderful evening and rest of your week. See you back here, same crazy time, same crazy place.